Yo, what it is, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Well, you guys seem to really like my honest reviews because you know I just keep it 100 here on the channel. And that's all it's going to be. Because, guys, like I said, if it's a piece of shit, I'm going to tell you. If it ain't, it just ain't. But we got another video kind of about commuting, and it's going to overlap on some of the topics that I talked about before here with the S1000. Since y'all like this bike, we're going to keep the content rolling and going. And there's actually going to be a little bit of riding in this video, but nothing too crazy, nothing too much. So it's about 7:30 or so in the morning, getting ready to ride out here to work. And I figured I'd go ahead and take the BMW again today. So get some more miles on it, get it closer to that break-in period. And then, of course, we'll get closer to unlock it. But the reason why I'm doing this video today is not only is it I talked about, is it a good commuter and stuff like that, and I answered a lot of that before. But it's going to be like 100 degrees today, and it has been like that for a couple days now in Florida. And I want to give you some real-world reviews about getting stuck in traffic on these jokers when it's just blaring heat and everything. Is it unbearable? Is it cooking your balls, cooking your gooch, whatever it is that's too Gucci for you underneath you while you're sitting in traffic? Basically, is it absolutely unbearable and completely unrideable when you're commuting in traffic? And then while you're sitting there commuting in traffic, does the bike have any problems, any overheating issues and stuff like that? So I want to kind of give you my perspective on this, and let's get ready to roll. I want to talk to you guys. We got a little bit of ride and layover of me kind of talking, but we're doing some commuting and some riding. And I got a hot day, and I purposely rode this bike on some boiling ass hot day to see exactly what it would be like, because I already did make a commuting video with this motorcycle, and does it make a good commuter? And the riding modes with that hard ass M seat really do help riding this bike. But it's like 90 something plus degrees outside, and commuted this thing to work and wanted to see exactly how it would be. If it would it be unbearable? Because this is a really important question that a lot of people ask or forget to mention when they're checking out a crotch rocket or a sport bike. Because yeah, these things have high compression and everything like that, but that heat's got to go somewhere, and I ain't trying to have it go all up in my nuts. So let's see how bearable it is, because we all know them Ducatis, man, make your ass sterile after you ride or stop moving in traffic. So let's get on to it. And I want to talk to you guys primarily, again, about the heat. So the heat riding on this thing, in the 90 plus degree weather, how is it? And it's nowhere near as bad as any Ducati. Do you feel some heat? Yes. It's not bad like any of the old Hondas with the centerline exhaust cooking your nuts. Like if you're on a Ducati or a V-twin bike, it's not bad like that. It rides. It's definitely cooler even with these huge cans that come on this bike. Absolutely. It's definitely cooler than the outgoing model for sure. But it still does create some heat. A lot of people complained that on the outgoing model that their left leg would be extremely hot because the exhaust would, the exhaust heat would be redirected over there by the shifter, and as well through the fairings. That is not the case here on this motorcycle. I haven't really experienced it. When you do stop at a stoplight, do you feel the heat when the fans kick on? Yes, the fans definitely kicked on a lot sooner than they normally would, because it's like 95 degree temperature outside and it's just hot as shit, plus it's humid. I have noticed when the bike does get really hot, like on the temperature gauge, we're talking like over 220. If you're riding and let the bike coast down, and you try to blip the throttle and give it gas, it could just be that the bike is really hot, but the throttle response seems delayed. But as soon as the RPMs catch, then it's perfectly fine. Like, we have nothing to worry about. I've caught it do it a couple times. It doesn't do it every time. Could need an update or something like that into the ECU or something like that. I don't really know. But it's not like annoying to the point like, oh, when it catches, then it just takes off or anything like that. But I have caught it a few times, and it's not like a stumble or a sputter. It's just like a delay that happens in the throttle. But riding the bike in the heat, it's okay. It's not as bad, especially if you stay moving. The fans do turn off. The bike does get enough airflow between the radiator and the oil cooler to keep the bike cool. And I believe when I went and rode this motorcycle around lunchtime to also see what it was when it was direct blazing and hot. I mean, hell, even riding to work in the morning, it's like 90 degrees right now, and it's like 95 or 96 around lunchtime, just to see exactly how it would do and how it would take the heat in riding. Like, hey, can you ride this thing in the heat? As long as you could take the heat, you know, from the outside, the bike really isn't contributing too much. Once you stop in traffic, your legs don't really touch the frame or anything like that. It's not too bad. The tank obviously does get a little warm, but that's obviously when, again, you're sitting in traffic because the heat, you know, heat rises and it has nowhere else to go but up. And again, as soon as you start moving, it's really not bad, and the temperatures do cool down. When it's cooler outside, like in the 80s, you know, upper 70s and stuff like that, the bike will get into like the 150s, 160 range. In this hot ass temperature right here where it's 90 plus and humid, it tends to hover around the 180, 190 mark. So it does run a little bit hot, but then again, it's hot as shit outside, so you really can't say much about that. And I didn't have any other issues or anything with the bike. So riding with the bike in the heat and stuff like that, I know this is going to be a little bit of a shorter video, but I think it's definitely something that you guys wanted to know and really want to consider, because heat is a huge factor and always been a major factor on a lot of crotch rockets. So again, the Yamahas tend to run a little hot, hotter than normal, hotter than, not normal for a Yamaha, but hotter than most, as opposed to like a Ninja or Jigster or something like that, or hell, even a CBR. But no, this doesn't run as cool as a GSXR. That's one of the beauties that I also do really like about that bike, that it does run cool. But again, just as many great things as I talk about the GSXR, trust me, there's just as many faults about it, that the ZX10R does better than the GSXR and vice versa. So, but overall, you know, again, you got to say this is a first-year bike, but not a first-year bike, first-year new model. I haven't really experienced any issues. Again, just that one with the wheel speed sensor, and since I have taken care of that, haven't had an issue with it, haven't had any tire pressure monitor issues or anything like that I've seen a couple other riders have, but mine hasn't been like that. Cross my fingers, and that's a good sign. But the heat is definitely something that I really wanted to report on, and everything has been so good, good so far, excuse me. So, but that's going to wrap it up here for today's video. The bike is pretty stout so far. I do love it, and I guess we'll see what else this Joker brings. So Facebook, Instagram, @TheSpeedBug, same name here as YouTube. And we'll see all y'all for another episode on the Speedbug channel. Peace.